Shalom, giving all praises to Yahweh, Bashem, El Shai, Bashem, Rakakudah, Shalom to the 144,000 rest of the elect out there, Shalom to you all. And I'm going to entitle this video, Navy Armada to Persian Gulf, one step closer to Armageddon. So this is a video that came up in my notifications, put up by GMS Babylon is Fallen. The title is U.S. Navy Armada arrives in Persian Gulf. Trump has warned Iran that time is running out. So the elder, Yakanan, said, well, time is running out for you. And you know what? I have no problem with Trump. I would have voted, if I was a voter, I would have voted for him. Because guess what? He's doing what the Most High wants him to do. And you can look into his face right there, and you can see the look of pride. That's a proud man. He believes in his heart of hearts that this place, Babylon, will never fall. Because like I said, his Christian evangelical advisor, Paula White, has not pulled him to the side and said, look, you got to pull back because we are Babylon and we're going to be destroyed. She's not telling him that because she doesn't know. She does not know. And I remember years back she was big on certain religious TV shows. And she sounded like a black preacher, but she looked like a white woman, with blind, kind of like, maybe like her, white woman with the blind hair right here, typical like blind woman, nice built, she ain't fat, out of shape, very pretty woman, I haven't seen her as of late, but back in the day, there's a very beautiful white woman. And she opened up her mouth, she sounded just like a black preacher, which maybe she might be Jake. But anyway, if you do the research, and I've seen this before on TV, news or whatever, they mentioned her. And then they said, it was said that she's the chief advisor, Christian advisor to Donald Trump. Which shows either she knows, they know they're going to be destroyed, let's do it anyway, fuck it. Or they don't know the scriptures. Like I've been saying in the past, these Christians vocab don't know shit about the prophecies. God Logic knows diddly squat about the prophecies. Okay? Abu Kamar don't know jack shit about the prophecy. Although I'll give him a hand, I'll say good things about him because he did a video on Yaikwab's grave, and he didn't say anything negative. He just showed where it was. He said a few words, so it's a good video. I saw the whole video, so bravo to you, my good friend. Anyway, none of these scholars, these biblical. If you go to the Bible Hub, and you put in certain prophetic, I can do it. I can go to it, and you put in like a prophecy, maybe Revelation 18, one of my favorites. They're not going to say it's America. They're not going to even suggest that it's America. Now, don't get me wrong. There's a handful of, and I do mean a small handful of born-againers, which are Edomites or appear to be Edomites. Give me a second here. Give me a second here. I'm putting on this a sweatshirt because it's cold up in this piece. Yes, good title. I haven't set up nothing. Hope you can hear me. So anyway, let's just get on into it, right? This is what I did. I'm gonna let it play, but this is what I did. You have naval ships. You might have 3 naval ships or whatever. An Armada, a Navy Armada, is Well, I'll get into it. Let me just go ahead and let the Google speak. A Navy armada is a large, organized fleet of ships, often representing a nation's full naval power. Full naval power. I should ask the numbers. I'll do that in a minute. Designed for offensive defenses or defensive or strategic operations. Now they changed the Department of Defense to the Department of War. The Department of Defense is defensive. They got to come to you. Department of War is proactive. You go after them. Derived from the Spanish word for armed. Okay, armada. Armada are ships, fleets of ships, all organized, that have weapons that come for war. When you send an armada, it's a signal for war. It generally signifies a massive, intimidating, and he loves that word, intimidate. He loves to intimidate people, or historically significant force. Let me do this. I want to get some numbers here. Definition: a large, unified fleet of warships, often used to describe a powerful naval force. Historical significance: historically associated with the Spanish Armada or Invincible Armada of 1588, a 130-ship fleet sent to invade England. 130 ships. And these are ships. These are not boats, they're ships. They're battleships. Modern usage. In contemporary context, it can be used for any massive grouping of ships, aircrafts, because you got aircraft. Among an aircraft, armada are aircraft carriers, or colloquial, that's a tongue twister for me, vehicles. Terminology: while in English it implies a specific large gathering of ships, in Spanish, armada refers to the national navy itself. Synonyms: fleet, squadron, task force, or naval convoy. Colloquial. Let me see. So it gave me the number, right? Naval armadas Does a naval armada include aircraft carriers? Yes, modern naval armadas are strike groups are typically centered around aircraft carriers, which serve as the primary power protection platform for the fleet. These groups often include a nuclear-powered carrier, destroyers, cruisers, and supply ships. So let me go to images here. Okay, these are aircraft carriers. Excuse me. But you gotta now. I read about the Armada, and they said sometimes you can have 130 ships. This is a lot of ship right here. Aircraft carriers. Give me a second. Let me do this. I'm trying to get a better. This is not really an Armada. Okay, you have to have a lot more. You know, this times 10. Looking for some better pictures here. Give me a second. This would be considered a small blue water navy. This is not exactly an Armada. So anyway, let me just go to the video now. Okay, a massive Armada is heading to Iran. And he doesn't understand that Russia has no choice but to get involved because they're allies. They do trade between them. And China backs up Russia. So whatever Russia does, China is right behind them as a superpower. Iran is a superpower as well. It is moving quickly with great power, enthusiasms, and purpose. Hopefully, Iran will quickly, I don't know what the rest of it says, quickly, President Donald Trump. Okay, he's a man, he loves intimidating people. And he's the man, I strongly believe he's the man, he's the last president, the last emperor, the last king, the king of Babylon, whose hands have waxed feeble. That's in Jeremiah either 50 or 51. I believe it's 50. And nothing's going to happen. There's not going to be a World War III as of yet, because the MOTB has to be made manifest, and the majority of the people on the planet Earth have to accept it. So let's go ahead and play it from 1 minute and 30 seconds mark. It's a 33-minute video.
Hopefully Iran will quickly come to the table. Time is running out. It is truly of the essence. As I told Iran once before, make a deal. While Iran's state media says the foreign minister has not been in contact with US Special Envoy Steve Witkoff in recent days or requested negotiations, tensions between the US and Iran are still high following the Iranian government's brutal crackdown on protesters. USS Abraham Lincoln has arrived earlier, the aircraft carrier in the Middle East.
See, this guy is making these threats. And it's going to wind up, now we've been seeing it, but now we truly see why the NATO nations are going to do what they're going to do. If they were to come to me and ask for advice, I would tell them, America's going to be destroyed in thermonuclear war. What can we do to prevent it? There's nothing you can do. It's inevitable. It's going to happen. All you can do is enjoy yourself until the missiles come. That's all you can do, and just have a nice time. Then after the missiles, what happens after the missiles clear and we're all dead? Do we go to heaven? Yes, you do go to heaven. You go to the spiritual realm. And then when you come back on the earth, you're going right into captivity. Who's going into captivity? You Edomites and the other nations.
And speaking in Iowa overnight, President Trump hinted at the military buildup in the region.
And in June, we obliterated Iran's nuclear capacity in Operation Midnight Hammer. You saw that.
And you got these MAGA people, which they believe in their heart this place is never going to go down. That pride gets you fucked up. You look, you fight a guy in the street, and you with your girl, and you kind of look at the guy. The guy might be lighter than you, shorter than you, but he might be an MMA fighter. You got 20, 30 pounds on him. You're going to impress your girl. And you don't realize what this dude knows. And all of a sudden you get taken down and he put you to sleep. or relocate your fucking elbow, literally. And you crying and screaming, your face is all bust up, you lost a couple of teeth, and your woman looking at you because you saw that roughness. You baby, stand back, watch a nigga rock, you know, watch a nigga rock and roll, and then you just get fucked up. And that's exactly what's gonna happen to Babylon the Great. Like I said, these MAGA people, they believe that the Most High bless America. First of all, when they think of God, when they say now I pray now I pray me down to sleep, I pray my Lord I pray the Lord my soul to keep. They're thinking of this. Every last one of them in here, when they think about God, they think about a white man. When they think about Jesus, they think about a white man. When they think about Moses, Aaron, the prophets, the Israelites as a whole, they think about white people, so-called Europeans, Edomites. They believe the people over there in Israel are the true people, the biblical Edomites. Well, they are the biblical Edomites, but they think they're the real people, and they think that they're in the kingdom of heaven. That this man is establishing the kingdom of heaven all over again. So, you know, to use one word to describe him is total stupidity.
People have been waiting for 20.
And see, you know, before you seen a couple of Jake faces in there. You don't see no Jake done woke up. They said this motherfucker's a bullshit artist. He's selling wolf tickets.
2 years to do that, and we were right at the end. They were about a month away from having a nuclear weapon. We had to do it.
And this is the, I believe this is, this happened, no, this is the old one. But he did do another town meeting, I guess you call it, in Iowa. So he goes to his people that put him in. But a lot of these MAGA people, they're like, this guy's full of shit. He doesn't know what the fuck's going on. He's thinking about his next meal. Look at this guy. Look at these motherfuckers, man.
And by the way, there's another beautiful Armada floating beautifully toward Iran right now. So we'll see.
See, Esau loves it. Yeah, baby. Bomb those bastards. Bomb them. We'll show them how they shouldn't be fucking with us no more, because God is with us.
I hope they make a deal. I hope they make a deal. They should have made a deal the first time they'd have a country.
Let's bring in Mikey Kay, former strategic military planner and host of the BBC Security Brief. So the Truth Social post from President Trump, Mikey, talking about this Armada that is heading towards the Middle East or has now arrived. What do we know about it?
Well, I mean, he's using the term Armada. What he actually means is the carrier strike group, the CSG, and at the center of gravity of that carrier strike group is the USS Abraham Lincoln, which is a Nimitz-class carrier, and it's huge. And the weaponry on there, the aircraft on there is significant. We saw something similar on Venezuela, but that carrier is surrounded, Lucy, by a lot of warships and submarines, and we can see the carrier there. This carrier is the center of gravity of pretty much the U.S. military effort. It's not the only thing that the U.S. has. It's got home basing, and on the security brief this week, we're really taking a deep dive into what military assets are there. But this is the center of gravity of what he's talking about on this Armada. Now, it's a massively strategic asset. So those warships that follow it everywhere are basically providing a layered air defense system for it, because obviously the US, anything that happens to that carrier would be a major significant problem for the US. And in terms of intelligence and location and what Iran is trying to do, right up there on their intelligence feed, will be trying to understand where that carrier is accurate enough so they could feed any GPS data coordinates into any ballistic missiles or what they want to throw at that. And that's what Iran are doing at the moment. And we saw that yesterday. We saw a long-range Iranian surveillance drone just south of the Straits of Hormuz, and it will be looking at where that carrier strike group is.
President Trump talked about Operation Midnight Hammer in his Truth Social post, Mikey, and referred to the major destruction that was already done to Iran, and then said the next attack will be far worse. Do we actually know how much damage was done during that last US operation?
Well, I mean, the primary target was the lifting of Maduro, and we know that was successful. And we covered that on the security brief a couple of weeks ago in terms of the components that went into that. And those components are no different, Lucy, to what will be required now. So if the US were looking at a lift on the Ayatollah, that would require, as it did with Maduro, a significant amount of intelligence. You can split those down really into three things. Human intelligence, so we know that the CIA had an asset inside the Venezuelan government. You're looking at imagery intelligence, which effectively comes from drones using cameras. And then you're looking at ELINT, which is electronic intelligence. And that's basically building up an electronic picture. SIGINT is a big part of that, signals intelligence, Lucy, where you can listen in the phone calls. And that's all about getting the location and the predictive patterns, called pattern of life, of what the primary target would be. In this case, it would be the Ayatollah. But there are so many other options.
Nero honestly doesn't know the consequences. He doesn't know the future. He doesn't know what's ultimately going to happen to Babylon the Great. So they're in for a surprise, and it's through their pride, but it's by prophecy anyway. So if he doesn't do it, somebody else is going to do it. So what's the difference?
Lucy, outside of taking out the Ayatollah, could be softening up surface-to-air defense systems, taking out ballistic missiles so they're no longer a threat to Israel. There's all sorts of courses of action. We call them in strategic military planning courses of action that the US will be looking at right now, and not one of them would be off the table.
Okay, Mikey, thank you so much. Mikey K joining us there.
So, as the scripture says, Luke 29, I'll give you another news bulletin shortly, hold tight. Luke 29 and 9. But when you shall hear of wars and commotions, be not terrified. For these things must first come to pass, but the end is not by and by. Why is the end not yet? Because the mark of the beast, the microchip, must be in play. Then said he unto them, nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And this is where we're at. The wars, commotions. Be not terrified, because these things must first come to pass. They must happen. But nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. Now, I want to jump to another news bulletin, because the Arabs are not prepared to help Trump in this war. The kings of the East are not prepared to facilitate Donald Trump in this war, I did say to you, by this weekend, America is going to strike Iran. By this weekend. There's a thing about America going into wars in the 1st of February. All right? So, the Arabs are not prepared to facilitate Trump, as you're going to hear here. The kings of Arabia.
So what does this mean? Will Trump attack Iran? No one knows the answer to that except Donald Trump himself. And I'd say don't count on it. There seems to be no method to the madness. But whatever the case, it has left West Asia on edge. Saudi Arabia and the UAE have already made their position clear. They say they will not help America if it attacks Iran.
Yeah, they will not help Babylon if they attack Iran, Saudi Arabia, and UAE. And and America has bases in both of those places. Meaning America will not be able to use their airspace or to launch any attack from their territory. Saudis and the UAE, right? And these are normally stern allies of America. Why? Because ultimately they make up the kings of the East, as the Bible speaks about in Revelation 16, I believe, right? When the scripture speaks about to make the way for the kings of the East. So they're not gonna allow America to use their airspace or to launch any attacks from any bases that they have in Saudi Arabia or the UAE, which is the United Arab Emirates. So remember, they make up, I'm going to go back to the news interview, they make up 16 and 16. They're going to be part of this, ultimately part of this coalition here. Revelation 16 and 12. And the sixth angel poured out his vial upon the great river Euphrates, and the water thereof was dried up. As you should all know by now, the river Euphrates is drying up. That the way of the kings of the East, which are these Arab nations, might be prepared. So they are really preparing themselves. They don't know it yet, but they are preparing themselves for a war against Israel and against America, the kings of the East. But right now, they will not allow America to use their airspace or to launch any attacks from their territory, as you're going to hear.
The Saudi and UAE will not help. Basically, Washington won't be able to use Saudi or Emirati airspace for an attack on Iraq. And then there's Turkey. Turkey shares a border with Iran. Turkey's foreign minister has said that a US attack would be wrong. He also said that Iran was ready to negotiate. Reports say Ankara is also preparing for a buffer zone along its border with Iran, just in case the Iranian regime falls. The Turks want to be prepared. So what are Trump's options really? Option one is a show of force. Trump could order a limited strike, hit a military base or a command facility, just enough to say that America acted. And that would give Trump his headline. But here's the problem with that approach. Iran has seen this movie before. A symbolic strike will not stop Tehran's nuclear program. So that takes care of option one. Option two, go big. Trump could escalate, he could target Iran's military leadership, key IRGC command centers, and critical infrastructure. The goal would be to shake the regime from the top. Option 3 is maximum pressure without missiles. Trump could hold back militarily, but
This is nothing but pride. This pride. This guy swims in pride. He basks in pride. Let me bring that back. And then these soldiers, they don't know. That's why we call them toy soldiers.
regime from the top. Option 3 is maximum pressure without missiles. Trump could hold back militarily but tighten sanctions or support the opposition in Iran. But this is the long game. And it
The scriptures speak about the mighty, right? Let me go here. Give me a second here. I gotta open up another blue letter. Excuse me, y'all. Okay, let me come over here. Let me go to the blue letter. Where was I gonna go? Oh yeah, Psalms 58. We'll go ahead and read it in AMP. To the chief musician set to the tone of "Do Not Destroy," a Mach-Hathim of David, a record of memorial thoughts of David. Do you indeed speak righteousness, O gods, heavenly beings? Do you judge fairly, O sons of men? No, in your heart you devise wrongdoing. Yeah, because this guy is violating these other nations. The scriptures speak about do not remove another landmark, right? That's in the law. No, in your heart you devise wrongdoing. On earth you deal out the violence of your hands. He knows he has a power. He knows he has the military behind him. Initially, the 4 branches of the government is really more than 4. I'm not going to tell you what the 5th is. You got the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. Navy, Air Force, and Marines are all the same. The Air Force stemmed from the Navy. That's your greatest your greatest army is your Navy. Is naval on waters. That water they're gonna have in the heaven, they refer to that as waters too. When they went out into outer space, they put the flag down. You know, they didn't really do that. You know, there's an argument on that, but they put the satellites up. The terms that they use pretty much on the sea is what they use in outer space, because outer space and in the skies and jets go back to the Navy. So it says, in your heart you devise wrongdoing. On earth you deal out the violence of your hands. The wicked are estranged from the womb. The wicked, when they come out evil. These go astray from birth, speaking lies, even twisted, partial truth. That's good point, AMP. They twist it. They'll tell you the truth, but then they'll tell you a lie in the truth. Their poison is as a venom of a serpent. They are like the deaf-horned viper that stops up its ear. You're a bunch of serpents that don't want to hear the truth. And we're giving you the truth so that it does not listen to the voice of charmers. And we are the charmers. It tells you that in Matthew 11. Or of the skillful enchanter casting cunning spells. O the Most High, break their teeth in their mouth. If you have a mean pit bull, a pit bull don't have teeth, the pit bull don't have no power. The power in the pit bull is the teeth. The power in the lion is the teeth. If a lion has no teeth, it has no power and claws. Let them flow away. Now, in the King James, it said melt away. Now, the word melt doesn't really mean melt, but other parts of the scriptures, when it says melt, it's talking about melt. And that's what the missiles are going to do. Let them flow away like water that runs off. When he aims his arrows, those are the missiles, let them be as headless shafts. And the head is a warhead. Let them be as a snail which melteth away, secretes slime, or it goes along like the miscarriage of a woman that loses a baby, which never sees the sun. That's all I want to read on that. You can read that in NLT as well. But I'm going to bring this back again. He's standing there prideful. He represents America in the fullest. He said, I'm going to make shit happen. Little does he know.
Opposition in Iran, but maximum top. Option 3 is
you can play that theme song from Officer and a Gentleman. You know, when you're walking, slow motion.
From the top. Option 3 is maximum pressure without missiles. Trump could hold back.
And these soldiers are basically, as Henry Kissinger said about soldiers, he said they're, how do you say it? He said that they're dumb animals set to make policy in other lands or something to that effect. Now they're saying that he never said that. Well, he talked about useless eaters. He said we got to get rid of the useless eaters. This was Kissinger, which wasn't even an American. He was a German. And he had, I don't know if he was Secretary of State, but he was German born. He wasn't even a U.S. citizen. And these guys in boot camp, you know what the drill instructors, they'll tell you that if you die in war, then you're in big trouble because you can't die unless a superior officer gives you permission to die. So they really think they're invincible until they get hit with a hot shot, and then the blood is oozing out of them, spirits oozing out of them, and they're saying, I should have never signed up for this shit. They're all going to be taken out. They're all going to be, the Northern Army and Joel too, I don't give a damn who you are, they're going to have cops going over there because they're going to, what's that thing that Bush did? You had cops that was retired from the military, and they called them over to fight in the Middle East. They had judges. They were sitting on the bench with the black thing. No, you got to go back and put on your uniform. But I retired. No, we're calling you back. I forget. I don't know if it's called stop loss. Stop loss is when you did a tour, and you go home, and they said, nope, you got to stay for another tour. No, but I agreed on the one tour or whatever. Vietnam conflict, you had a tour, which was a year. You did your tour, you went home. But then you had some that made careers out of it, that did more than 3 or 4 tours. And maybe they got injured, and they got the 4 Purple Hearts or whatever the case may be. But they have a thing called stop loss, if I'm saying it right, where Bush was saying, nope, this is in the law where it says, nope, we need you, so you can, nope, I know we said we're going to let you do 1 year, but you got to come back. You got to do another one. You're a judge? I don't care. I'm 52 years old. It doesn't matter. You were a lieutenant in the military, in the Navy or whatever, or the Army. So this man is pushing Babylon the Great to war because he doesn't understand the scriptures. He doesn't understand that this is the scriptures when it speaks about Babylon the Great or that great whore and Revelation 17, or throughout any part of Revelation, or the daughter of Babylon. He doesn't understand and realize because he doesn't read the Bible. And he doesn't understand it. And Paula White damn sure don't understand it.
Act militarily, but tighten sanctions or support the opposition in Iran. But this is the long game. And it takes time. And Trump is not known for...
And you got bone-headed Negroes in the military too, stand up as proud as a white boy.
Patience. So we come back to the question, what happens next? Expect more threats, more social media posts, more military movements, and above all, more uncertainty. Because with Donald Trump, strategy often comes second to instinct.
The world doesn't fit in boxes.
Strategy always comes second to instinct, as we know. So, let's go back to, where are we? So as I said earlier, the kings of the East are not allowing Trump to use their airspace or to launch any military attacks from their territory. Because like I said, they don't know it, but they are going to be part of that coalition that's ultimately going to come up against Israel and against because remember, America does this strike, it's doing it for Israel. Israel is going to get involved in this attack.
And the leadership of Iran knows that. They know that. That's why they're going to attack Israel. But like I said, something's going to happen. Keep your eyes open. You got these other major camps thinking, oh, we might be out of here next month, brothers. Shalom. You know, kum yashala. We might be out of here in 2 months. Nope. The chip has to be administered first. Remember, there's a thing called a prophetic timeline.
Turkey is not cooperating with America. Turkey is
even though Turkey is a member of NATO. Just because those are member states of NATO doesn't mean that they agree with each other. Germany is mad at the U.S. Denmark is mad at the U.S. France is mad at the U.S. Sweden is mad at the U.S. And I mentioned Germany. France is mad at the U.S. because they were getting ready to send their military to fight against America. That would be a civil war, actually. That's called a civil war. So he backed off. He doesn't realize, as I have said in the beginning of this video, who are the allies of Iran? Russia and China and other nations in that area. Turkey is refusing to work with them. Partly strong and partly weak. Iron mixed with miry clay. We've been telling you this. When we first got on YouTube, we've been telling you all this. Now it's coming to pass. Nobody scoffs no more. So we welcome the scoffers. Come and scoff now. Oh, that ain't going to happen. You just made that shit up.
NATO member, but as we said this many times before, something's going to happen that's going to cause Turkey to either be expelled or excommunicated out of NATO, or they're going to leave of their own will, or NATO just breaks up and everyone goes their own way. Because Turkey will be part of the coalition that Russia's going to form, because Russia is going to come to defend Iran, but we're going to see how far things go this time. Turkey is Goma, as you can see here, will be part of this coalition that the Russians, which is Gog, on the land of Magog, from Gog, the chief prince, the Russian prince of Meshech, which is Moscow, and Tubal, Tbilisi in Georgia, and prophesy.
Where'd you get that from? Did you get that from me? Because I'm the only one that said, well, recently I said it. I don't know if you got that from me. Just give me the credit, or unless you knew it. Because I did some research that said Meshech. They suggest that Meshech is modern day Moscow, and Tubal is Dublix. Now I know of a place called Dublix and a place called Moscow. And Russia is a compound word in the Hebrew, Rasha, which means chief prince or head prince. That's why it says the chief prince. Look the word up. Go to the click on the blue letter and look up chief prince. Shah, Ra'ash, Shah, Ra'ash, Shah, Russia. Even the Bible Hub, they told you that Rush is short for Russia, but I went a little bit further and said chief prince is Russia. The way you say chief prince in the Hebrew is Ra'ash Shah, Russia. And I did another video some years ago, this may be 5-6 years ago, the roots of the Russian language as it go back to Hebrew. And that particular, I forgot, that was so long ago, probably on another page that was taken down. And it said, yes, the Russian language has its origins in roots in Hebrew. And we know, you go into history, you find out that it was the barbarians, but mainly the Scythians, which were Israelites, that founded this no man's land and called it Russia, chief prince. So a lot of those Russians are actually Israelites. Them guys that fight in MMA, them people from Dagestan, them guys are Jakes, man. Them dudes are Jakes. And they're humble people. You know, they're Russians, but their religion is Islam. But they're the top wrestlers. Man, there was this one video, this Russian fighter from, I believe he's from one of those places. Where's this guy from? Damn, I just said it. One of the stands. But he Americans can't deal with him. Nobody in the world can deal with this guy. They're just mighty. Anyway, I'm sorry. Let me move on. Dagestan. I'm talking about Dagestan.
Against him and say, thus says the Lord, behold, I am against thee, O Gog. The Lord ain't for the Russians, but is going to use the Russians to come to the defense of the Iranians and to bring these coalition together. So we're going to see how far President Taco goes. All right? The chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and I will turn thee back and put hooks in thy jaws and bring thee forth, and all thine army and horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords.
Let me just look at this. You know I go into the gold and the silver, right? They're saying that gold has reached, it just hit 5,000 a couple of days ago. Now it went up another give me a second, another 300. This is some crazy's happening, man. It doesn't mean the gold is going up. It means the value of the Federal Reserve note is going down. It's getting weaker and weaker and weaker, and you're going to experience it by higher prices. We're experiencing with the Weimar Republic experience during the time of Germany's hyperinflation period. This never, all the years I knew about gold and silver, you know, understanding of it, I'd never seen this, ever.
As we always tell you, what Russia's doing in Ukraine is the Lord turning the Russians back to that old Soviet Union mindset, getting them into a war mentality, a war economy, right? In getting ready for this war of Armageddon.
And you got to understand, Russian military forces, they've been in the war for the last 5 years, however many years. So they're battle tested. They're warlike people. The Scythians are warlike people. They're Israelites that like to fight.
So Persia, which is what we know today as Iran, is who the Russians are gonna come to the defense and be part of a coalition. Ethiopia, Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmet, weapons of war. Goma is Turkey, and all the bands in the House of Togarmah, the ex-Soviet Union states of the North Quarters, right? And all these bands and many people with thee. Now, this is the key. Be thou prepared. And the Russians are prepared. The Chinese were flying in weapons to Iran over the last few weeks. The Chinese are going to be on the side of the Russians. So they are prepared, because Russia is in a war state of mind. And prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. Unto who? Persia, Ethiopia, Libya. Persia is Iran. Goma is Turkey. House of Togarmah, the ex-Soviet Union states of the North, and all his bands.
And including the Ukraine, because they're going to take Ukraine over. And your Ukrainians, what they're doing with the Ukrainian children, they're taking them, to Russia, and they're teaching them Russian. They're making them Russians. Because somebody, correct me if I'm wrong, or do the research, Ukraine was originally a part of Russia, so they have a right to take that landmass over. There's a lot of resources. It's also, the Ukraine is considered the breadbasket of Europe.
And many people with thee, and the other countries that are going to be a coalition with them, because Russia is going to be the main player. So, let's just go back here. Oh, sorry. So, this is what Donald J. Trump put up. This is the actual social media posts. I'll let Colonel Daniel Davis tell you.
To Iran, it's moving quickly with great Truth Social. He wrote, a massive armada is heading to Iran. It's moving quickly with great power, enthusiasm, and purpose. It is a larger fleet headed by a great American aircraft carrier, Abraham Lincoln, then was sent to the Venezuela. Like the Venezuela, it is ready, willing, and able to rapidly fulfill its mission with speed and violence if necessary. Hopefully, Iran will quickly come to the table and negotiate a fair and equitable deal. No nuclear weapons, one that is good for all parties. Time is running out. It is truly of the essence. As I told Iran once before, make a deal. They didn't, and there was Operation Midnight Hammer, a major destruction of Iran. The next attack will be far worse. Don't
see that? Operation Midnight Hammer.
And they shouldn't be using that word midnight, because I did a video on that, and it said the midnight represents the end of your system. It's the end of a day. It's the official end of a day as far as the law is concerned, as far as we are concerned, in the Most High, of course, is when the sun goes down. But there's a point at 12 midnight After that, that's the beginning of the morning. Okay, let's say the sun goes down in the summertime, 8:30. That's the beginning of night. But at midnight, that's when the clock starts ticking for the morning. So 1 minute after 12 is considered the morning. 8 o'clock at the day when the sun going down, that's not called the morning. It's called the night. At 12 o'clock, 12:01, that's 1 minute into the morning. So the morning is our morning. The sun is coming up. Even though the sun ain't really coming up, but the sun is changing because of the rotation of the earth and all that. When you go into all that stuff. So midnight is not a word that they shouldn't be using that word. They shouldn't be using that word. Their midnight is 1 minute after midnight is our morning.
What does the Bible say? Man, you tell me that you'd have to be on crystal meth not to know that America is Babylon the Great in the Bible. Is it Jeremiah?
Well, they don't see it because they don't want to see it. Because it can't possibly be America. We're such a righteous country. We're a God-fearing country. We're a Christian nation. Your president swearing on the Bible. How can the Most High be against this? The pride of thine heart have deceived thee, thou that dwelleth in the cliffs of the rock. You think everyone in heaven, the Most High, the angels, the Yahweh Shai, that they all white people?
51:23. Let's see if it's 51 and 23 or 50 and 23. Where are you? No. Hold on. Let's bring it up on the screen here. I always say 51 is 50. I always say 51, but it's 50 and 23.
I'm just saying.
See here? How is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder, which is America, Babylon the Great, and broken? How is...
And I heard that too. Let me go ahead and look that up. Let me see. Let me go ahead and open up another tab. I gotta close some of these tabs. Operation Midnight Hammer. Okay, United States strikes on Iran nuclear sites. Okay, that's all I wanted. Yeah, that's all I wanted. That's not the word you want to. You don't want to use. Okay, Operation Midnight Hammer. Give me a second. That's the definition of that. What is the Midnight Hammer operation? Successfully struck nuclear sites deep into. Okay, right. So you don't want to use those words. You don't want to use midnight, and you don't want to use hammer, because the Most High is getting ready to break your hammer up in your ass, sideways. Where am I? Let's come on back.
Babylon become a desolation amongst the nations.
Now let me just look at this. There's so much news with this guy, man. All hell breaks loose as Trump ICE invades a am I reading this right? A consulate?
through the war that is going to enter into the Middle East that ultimately is going to lead the Russians into
Okay,
this.
this is 1813. I got to look at this real. I'll look at it later.
The Chinese, the Israelis. The Israelis are the ones that are drawing America in to do this anyway. It's the Israelis that are pulling America in to make this attack, because the Israelis are going to assist them and going to be part of this attack on Iran. That's why it says, I have laid a snare for thee. That snare is the Israelis. They're the ones that have convinced America we need to do this. And thou art also taken, O Babylon, and thou was not aware because of their pride. All right? They can't see this. They can't see themselves going down. Thou art found and also caught because thou hast striven against the Lord Yahweh. So, how is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How? It's going to be through this war of Armageddon in the Middle East. The Israelis, which are drawing America into this war to attack Iran, is going to be, it's basically going to be the ultimate catalyst of this whole thing. So when we go back to the social media post, he said they didn't, and there was, it calls it Operation Midnight Hammer.
Yeah, that's when they first hit him, along with
because America is
Israel in June. Okay, that saying goes back last year in June 22nd. I just showed you that on the Google. Now I'm gonna show you something because I got to step out to move my car. Let me see here. Let me go over here real quick. Show you that the other nations are going to be involved, but I'm gonna read it in the NLT, which is Joel. These are scriptures that we know. Joel 3. Let me go to this. Let me go into the NLT. Where the hell am I? Give me a second. Let me do it this way. Oh, I went too far down. Okay, say to the nations far and wide, get ready for war. Because Nero's going to bring it. Call out your best warriors. Let all your fighting men advance for the attack. That's that war what the scholars call the Megiddo. There's going to be a war. There's going to be two major hot spots on the planet Earth. The Levant, and further south of the Levant, that whole region right there, the Middle East, what they call the Middle East, and America. Those are going to be the two hot spots on the planet Earth. It says, hammer your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Train even your weaklings to be warriors. Let the weak say, I am strong. Come quickly, all you nations everywhere, gather together in the valley. And now, O Yahweh, call out your warriors, because the Most High mustereth the host of the battle. So you're going to put the spirit on these other nations to want to completely destroy the military might of Babylon. Let the nations be called to arms. Let them march to the valley of Jehoshaphat. That's in the Middle East of Levant. There I, Yahweh, will sit to pronounce judgment on them all. He's going to get Babylon, and he's going to get them too. And Babylon the Great is considered America's a great melting pot. So you can how many millions of Moabites live here? Ammonites live here. Canaanites live here. Arabs. So they're here for a reason to get destroyed by these missiles. Swing the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come, that's Revelation 14. Tread the grapes, that's also Revelation 14. For the wine press is full. It says that the Lord is going to stomp them grapes, which is not going to actually happen. There's not going to be a spot of blood on Yahushua's garment. That's just poetic. The storage vats overflow with the wickedness of these people. Thousands upon thousands are waiting in the valley of decision, which are millions. There the day of Yahweh will soon arrive. And at that same time, that's when Babylon's going to get hit. So they're going to be hot and heavy in that war in the Middle East. So everybody's eyes are going to be on the Middle East. Then there's going to be negotiations between Russia and America. And those negotiations are going to fall through. And Russia's going to say, fuck this place, hit the button, take these motherfuckers out. And simultaneously, the NATO nations, the other nations, Pakistan, any nation that possesses these missiles, as we've been saying for the last couple of days, heavy. All of us been going into prophetic scriptures. But the only thing holding everything back is what? The mark of the beast. So I believe inside of 6 months, don't be surprised if they start even speaking about it. They're going to make it I see them making it voluntary at first, and then it's going to be mandatory. There's the deadline. You don't get it done, you don't work. You can't pay for anything, so you can't live in your car because you got to register your car. You can register your car with money, and the only way you get money is through your chip. So it's going to be a game changer. I know I sound like a broken record, but it's true. Okay. I'm going to let it play while I get ready.
It's the hammer of the whole world. Operation Midnight Hammer. How is the hammer of the whole world cut asunder and broken? It's going to be from its actions that it's going to take in the Middle East.
Don't make that happen again. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. Now listen, he is not just whistling Dixie, as they say. He's not just sending up just a token force. Gary, if you can put that full screen up there, this is what has been steaming in. You've heard a lot about the Abraham Lincoln Carrier Strike Group, which he mentioned in that text right there. And you see the Abraham Lincoln itself, and you see there are 9 squadron carrier air wings aboard. You see there's an F-35, there are 3 F/A-18s, and then a number of other kinds of things, some helicopters and other kinds of aircraft. And there are also, I believe there are a total of 3 additional support ships, cruisers and destroyers, if I'm not mistaken. You see a lot of power there. You see a lot of other power on the map of the left there. That shows you lots of other ground-based air power that is in the region. It's not sea-based. So there is a great deal of firepower, and you see kind of Iran in the middle of that screen there. So you see this firepower is all arrayed out. So when he says we have something really big heading that direction, or something big, a punch that's capable of throwing, he is not kidding.
He's not kidding. See this? Well,
something big.
So I can. This is the valley of Jehoshaphat. This is the valley of Jehoshaphat. What you see here on the center on the screen. This
Right, that includes Palestine. This is the Levant, this area right here, roughly around here. The U.S. troops will be over here. Scholars saying they're going to be up here by the, is that the Dead Sea? That they're going to be between the Dead Sea and the Mediterranean? No, where they're going to be at is right here. See, they were allied to Kuwait. Remember the war against Iraq? They were fighting for Kuwait. Iraq was getting ready to take Kuwait over. Kuwait was an ally to America, so America sent troops to protect them. They didn't. They called it we fighting for America. No, you fighting for Kuwait. It was a private war, but that they made it seem like a noble war. So this is where the troops are going to be, and all this is going to be. They're all going to be fired up. All up here. See? Anyway, you can watch the rest of it. I urge you to watch the rest of this. Shalom, on to the next.